Have you ever felt your emotions slowly fading, like water slipping through your fingers, leaving no trace behind? This often happens when we forget that love and feelings are only one part of the complex spectrum of human emotions. But when we let our emotions take full control, are we not at risk of losing ourselves? Have you ever sat quietly, looking back on a relationship, wondering why the fiery passion of the early days turned into indifference or even boredom? Is love, like a flame destined to burn brightly at first, only to dwindle into ashes if left unattended? In life, we all yearn to love and to be loved. When we meet someone special, our hearts race, and the world seems to glow a little brighter. But as time passes, we realize that love is not just the sweet moments of euphoria. It is also about the silences, the challenges, and the unspoken trials. The initial flood of emotions gradually gives way to misunderstandings, disappointments, and sometimes cracks that feel impossible to mend. Amid the busyness of life, it's easy to label this shift with a single word: boredom. But is boredom really the end of love, or is it just a pause, a comma in the story of our relationships? Emotions are like a river, at times calm, at times turbulent, but always in need of guidance. Without understanding, patience, and responsibility to steer them, the river can run dry, leaving behind a barren, rocky bed. Today, let's take a journey into the depths of love and life's emotional landscape. How do we overcome the trials that emotions place in our path? How do we keep love from becoming a burden instead of a gift? And most importantly, how can we learn to love fully and meaningfully, blending passion with purpose? The fragility of emotion. Love, in its early stages, is like an exhilarating piece of music. Every note resonates with enchantment, pulling us into a world of excitement and joy. Yet few realize that such music cannot sustain its intensity forever. As the initial melodies begin to fade, we're left to confront a simple truth. Emotions are not an endless flow. They have their limits, and at some point must make way for other, deeper elements of connection. When we fall in love, we often magnify the qualities of our partner. Small gestures, kind words, these things shine like beacons, drawing our attention and admiration. But emotions are tricky. They can be deceptive. Like a mirror, they reflect reality, but also add colors and details painted by our imagination. This can make us overlook or even romanticize our partner's flaws, convincing ourselves that these imperfections are somehow endearing. Yet, as time passes, the polished veneer of emotions begins to wear thin, revealing the raw truth underneath. The person we once idolized no longer seems as perfect. Like everyone else, they have limitations and flaws, things we previously ignored or excused. This leads to what psychologists call emotional normalization. The intense feelings that once fueled our connection start to level off, replaced by indifference or even disappointment. It's often said that the 2-year mark in marriage is a pivotal period. This isn't because either partner has fundamentally changed, but because the initial passion has settled, giving way to a more realistic view of each other. With this new perspective, conflicts and misunderstandings naturally arise. If left unresolved, these issues can snowball into a wall of negative emotions, separating the two individuals who were once so close. As powerful as emotions are, they are also fragile. They can be easily swayed by external factors, small disagreements, daily stresses, or unmet expectations. Without guidance from mindfulness and understanding, negative emotions take hold, pushing the relationship into a state of stagnation. And it becomes harder to find the same ease and closeness that once came so naturally. But does boredom signal the end? Not necessarily. Instead, it's a sign that we need to pause and reflect, not just on the relationship, but also on ourselves. This is the time to seek understanding, to communicate openly, and above all, to embrace responsibility. A strong and lasting relationship cannot rely solely on fleeting emotions. It requires effort, determination, and a willingness to grow together. Remember, love is not just about fulfilling personal desires or chasing fleeting happiness. It's about lifting each other up, about sharing the weight of life's burdens. If we only chase emotions, we'll eventually find ourselves pursuing a fleeting shadow of happiness, something that vanishes the moment we get close. True love requires effort. And so, boredom begins to creep in like a thorn. At first, it's barely noticeable. Conversations grow shorter, eye contact becomes fleeting, and the silences stretch a little longer. What was once a vibrant, colorful relationship now feels covered by a gray haze. We start to wonder, is this my fault, or have they changed? The truth is, both have changed. Emotions, no matter how intense, cannot remain at their peak forever. As those initial feelings become dulled, the relationship enters a period of true testing. It's not just a test of love, but a challenge for personal growth and maturity. Boredom isn't just an empty state. It carries a quiet power. It works silently, pushing two people further apart. Positive emotions are replaced by negative ones. Gestures of affection that once brought a smile now feel burdensome. Sweet words once spoken with warmth now echo like a familiar tune that has lost its meaning. From boredom, negative feelings begin to seep in. Irritation, indifference, and sometimes even disdain. These emotions slowly build an invisible wall between two people. If that wall isn't dismantled in time, it can become a permanent barrier, separating them forever. What's more alarming is how small the gap is between boredom and betrayal. When one partner no longer feels fulfilled in the relationship, they may begin to seek new emotional highs elsewhere. It could be a passing glance, a casual conversation, or a fleeting moment of connection. But these small sparks can ignite a fire that the current relationship can no longer sustain. Marriages don't always end because of explosive conflicts. Often it's the inability of one partner to meet the emotional expectations of the other. These expectations aren't material, they're emotional, fragile, and difficult to define. The gap between expectation and reality creates a kind of marital accident that no one wants to confront. But we must ask ourselves, has love truly disappeared? Or has it been buried under the weight of unrealistic expectations? When we chase emotions, we forget that love is more than fleeting highs. True love requires commitment, responsibility, and above all, acceptance. Love is never perfect. It comes with its shadows and flaws, challenges that both partners must navigate together. But if we allow negative emotions to take over, we risk losing not only the relationship, but also a part of our own authentic selves. The choice is ours to make. Let love be swept away by boredom, or use mindfulness and responsibility to rebuild it. That choice will determine not only the fate of the relationship, but also the deeper meaning of happiness itself. The beauty of renewal. So, after all, boredom in a relationship doesn't have to be the end. Instead, it's a crossroads, forcing us to choose whether to let go or to rebuild. Boredom isn't the fault of emotions or of any one person. It's simply a signal that we need to rethink how we love, how we understand, and how we nurture the connection we share. Life by nature is imperfect, just as people are. But it's precisely this imperfection that gives us the opportunity to grow, to learn acceptance, compassion, and maturity. True love isn't just about the highs of passion. It's about commitment. It's about standing side by side and weathering life's storms together. Perhaps the greatest lesson of all lies here. love with both heart and meaning. The heart brings passion, excitement, and the vibrancy of each day. But meaning, the deeper bond, provides the foundation for a relationship that lasts. As wisely said, to love completely, love with both feeling and meaning. True love is both whole and enduring. When the spark begins to fade, don't rush to blame or look for fulfillment elsewhere. Instead, pause, look inward and ask, have I truly understood and shared with my partner? Only by letting go of selfish demands can we rekindle the flame of love in a relationship. Remember, happiness isn't about a life free of challenges. It's about the strength to face those challenges together. Those who love with mindfulness and responsibility will always hold on to a love that endures. And so the beauty of life lies in its constant offering of new beginnings. We're given endless chances to renew ourselves and the relationships around us. The key is this: don't let the dust of life make you forget what truly matters.